Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Excited to have you here. Today we are going to be walking through an all-new SIMiONIC panel. This is one of our custom panels. We're going to build it from the tabletop up, and we're really excited to populate this panel. How we put iPads into the SIMiONIC bezels here, how we install the switch panel. We've got the SIMiONIC throttle, and then we've also got the all-new SIMiONIC prototype force feedback yoke. So really excited to be building this panel here for you guys. Going to take you on the journey of actually building the panel here and constructing it once again here from the tabletop up. Really excited is also to be then demoing all of these features working in the simulator, so you can actually see how everything comes together and then how it actually functions as well in a Cessna 172 G1000. So yeah, once again, keep it right here. Let's get started. So once again, as I mentioned, want to walk through a little bit of the individual components here that we're dealing with so you have an understanding. If you haven't checked out our G1000 buyer's guide video, definitely take a look there. There's a lot of the different G1000 systems on the market that are compared. You can better understand some of the, I'll call it kind of quirks, features, pros, cons, kind of all those different things associated to them, how they plug in, how they get video to them, and things like that. Today we're actually featuring the SIMiONIC G1000 system. So SIMiONIC is run by an individual named Lee Chen. He's a great advocate here in the flight simulation community and one of the sponsors of Flight Sim Association as well as State Level Avionics. His G1000 system, it actually uses iPads. So it uses iPads to connect to the bezels, and then the bezels themselves connect over your wireless network through a wireless bridge that's hosted on the computer. So all that telemetry data such as airspeed, altitude, all of that is all communicated wirelessly from the simulator. So you don't have to connect any HDMI cables to the system itself coming off of your computer. And what that enables is it enables a really seamless and simple removal from your desk and putting it right back on your desk. Very quick to get up and running. This here is their switch panel. This is a switch panel that's just like off of the Cessna 172 G1000. So everything from the standby battery here to the actual lights, the dimming, the pedestals, all that kind of lights, all your beacon lights, and all your Avionics masters and things like that. That's all here in the G1000 panel. We've also got the SIMiONIC Compass around here somewhere. Here it is, the SIMiONIC Compass as well. The SIMiONIC Compass, it just connects here right into the back of the switch panel, so we'll walk through a little bit how all that connects. And then we got the throttle as well. So I think what we're going to start with here, we're going to actually start with populating the G1000s into, or the iPads rather, into the G1000s, and then the G1000s into the panel. Alright, so we've got a couple iPads here. These are the iPad 9th gen 10.2 inch. It's actually pretty much impossible to get your hands on these iPads right now. I think Apple was showing them out of stock till February, Amazon showing them out of stock till April. So I want to give a shout out to a website called Swappa, S-W-A-P-P-A, Swappa.com. It's a place you can get iPhones, iPads, oftentimes new in box, never used, or they're just kind of a crowdsourced community of sellers of Apple stuff. They're all verified by IMEI, so you don't get blacklisted items. They're verified by condition, serial number, and they offer full PayPal money back guarantee. Swappa may be a place to check those out. So our next step here in the process is we got a 2mm Allen key. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take off the back panel here. So all those screws are out. We can actually now remove these back panels here, and we can put those to the side. Now I do want to talk a little bit about here these back panels. I want to talk about what they have. If you look here, they've got 4 standoffs. These standoffs are removable, and these standoffs you can actually rotate them. And when you rotate the standoff, it has some feet in the standoff, which allows for different thicknesses of iPads to be used. So it actually pushes off the standoff a little bit more. So you can see it either uses the big holes or those little holes go into the little one, the little points. And what that does is it creates about 1 millimeter thickness in the standoff. So you'll just want to go ahead and take a look at that. So then the iPads are tight in the actual bezels themselves. Okay, so I want to talk really quickly about what comes with the audio panel itself. So here's the audio panel, some USB cables that you can use, but there is also a bag of hardware for the audio panel. You are going to use that bag of hardware for the audio panel. That's very important. And then you can discard the rest of this. There's also a silver cable. You can use that silver cable as well. Then there are also some audio panel brackets. They're plastic brackets. You're going to also use these plastic brackets with the audio panel and our panel. So make sure you hold on to those too. What we're going to do here now, we are going to look at our iPad bezels. So here is one of our bezels here. And all we're going to do here with this is we're going to just slide it in. So look at the bezel here. We take it, flip it around, go ahead, slide it in. Just like so. Really, really easy. So that looks really nice. I'll put a link in the video, but there is something that's called Assistive Touch that we set up here on these iPads themselves. And you want to use Assistive Touch, because what that allows you to do is you lose touching the home button. So you want to be able to push the home button and still go home and things like that. We'll go ahead, we will move to the MFD here. Same process, go ahead, slide it in, and we will grab our USB cable here, put it inside. So next we're going to go ahead, we're going to put these into the actual panel itself, so I'm going to move some of the stuff here off the desk. So here, it's a bolt and a nut. We're going to unscrew these out of the corners. We're going to reuse these for the mounting into the actual panel itself. We're going to put it in. See, it just slides in beautifully like so. And so what that's looking like here, you should be able to see the nut right in there. Alright, so we got both the G1000s in there, so those are in. Next, we're going to actually go ahead and we're going to put the audio panel in. So we slid the audio panel in from the front. Here in the back, I want to call out a couple of things. So these are the brackets themselves that come with the SIMiONIC audio panel. You'll notice there are some longer screws on the outside, shorter screws on the inside, and longer screw on the outside. This is the longer screw here, and you can actually see that it's longer. And the longer one, once again, goes on the outside of this. What this is going to do, it's going to create a sandwich design with the panel, and it's going to kind of spread it apart, just like so. So I like to hold the audio panel from the front, bring this right around here, and then go ahead and secure it down. Great, so all of that is mounted in there. So next I want to go ahead, I want to walk through these right angle connectors. Once again, so these right angle connectors, the point of this is if you connect in your USB here into that, somehow you could maybe tug on this accidentally and completely shear it off. So we want to avoid that from ever possibly happening. And so how we do that is there are just some really nice right angle adapters. Once again, all this is going to be in the description below. And you just go ahead and you place one of these right there. And so now that's not really going to be able to shear off of there. And then you plug your USB cable right in just like that. The Anker PowerPort 5, this is a 40-watt power adapter, is going to go right here. This gray cable here, that you can see here, this gray cable actually connects into the PFD itself. You can see there's a little bit of a notching. That notching goes right there into the middle. I like for these things to be removable at times, so instead of a permanent adhesive, I like to use a Velcro. So now, all I need, very simply, is just a power into the SIMiONIC units themselves, and they're powered up and ready to go. That's all they need. They just need power. They don't need any type of data. Okay, so we got the G1000 all put together. We did a nice little cable management Velcro there, pretty simple. Got the right angle adapters and got our power adapter. So this power adapter, once again, Anker PowerPort, 40 watt. It's powering in the back here, the MFD, the audio panel, and the PFD. Once again, no data connections. Also, you can see here, this is our LED control panel here, battery operated and plugs in. The USB header plugs in right here. So really, really simple. So here you can see the USB cable for that. You just line up the two arrows. You go ahead, plug that in, and then you can actually take the power cable here and just wire it down and plug it in, and then we'll flip it around. Like so. So the IR blaster is located right here, so you just need to kind of reach up over, turn it on, change colors, whatever you want, orange, yellow, white. So yeah, anyways, that's the IR blaster. So here, once again, this is the G1000 switch panel. Pretty straightforward. We're going to put that in right here like so. Alright, switch panel is all in. So that's ready to rock and roll. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the flap lever over here. Flap lever, switch panel, I'll show you here from the back side. So you can see the switch panel here is totally in. Nice washers, nuts. Got the IR blaster right here. This is the receiver there. So you do need to kind of have that up just a very little bit. Alright, so next we're going to be installing the SIMiONIC throttle. So one thing I want to bring to highlight here is with the SIMiONIC throttle, it mounts from the bottom. So there's some screws on the bottom. And it's just going to go ahead and slide right in through this opening, and then there's going to be some screws on the bottom of the panel that secure the throttle to the actual panel itself. Now, to give some spacing for those screws that are in the bottom of the panel, we offset all of our panels up with some spacers, some nice rubber padding to keep it from really kind of moving at all, I would say. And you can actually see here, right back there, where those pieces are. We also slot both sets of these screws to give adjustment forward and back. Should you want to bring it a little bit forward or bring it a little bit back, you have some adjustability there with that slotting. And I'll get into the yoke mounting in just a minute, but we'll focus on the throttle mounting right now. A couple of quick, really nice features about the SIMiONIC throttle itself. So it's got the tension adjustment knob here, which is nice, so you can adjust how tight or loose you want the throttle to be. Real quick, just initial impressions after just kind of touching it a little bit. I would say in ranking of priority, I would say the Virtual Fly Vernio and Vernio Plus are both higher quality than this, but the SIMiONIC is much cheaper, and so therefore a pretty affordable option as well. But that's just kind of the quick overview based on just touching that for a couple minutes. Next, we're going to go ahead, we're going to put in the yoke. Here is the SIMiONIC yoke, and this is a force feedback yoke, so you notice it's got a really far distance of travel, so that's really important to consider in how far you want the yoke to or from you when you actually have your panel mounted on your desk. You also notice there too, you see there's feet that actually stick out, and you want to be able to use those feet there. Actually stick out on both sides. These feet don't come off, they're permanently affixed there. So what you have to do, you actually have to slide the yoke in from the front and you have to bring it forward. You can't actually fit it any other way. There's also screws on the side of the yoke that you need to take into consideration for as to not mar up the side of your panel when you're actually putting them in. So whether you kind of wiggle it in or however you do it. This is the prototype mounting solution. Once again, this is what the mounting solution comes with right now. So I'm going to talk to you about how this yoke actually goes in now. All right, so we got that SIMiONIC yoke here. This is, once again, is a prototype development yoke, and we're going to go ahead and mount it in. Now, one thing that we're going to really want to make sure that we do here as we slide it in, be real careful here around the edges. Once again, we give the hardware here. This mounts just like the Brunner, and we slide all those holes there. And so now we're going to actually drill these in. Now, I want to kind of caveat here. So we've now put a whole platform, a wooden platform here. So my desk is here. Wooden platform here is here. We're going to screw this thing in to the wooden platform. So there's no clamping mechanism. So this works really well for some people with permanent solutions where they're not going to be moving their hardware on and off. I'm not going to actually drill through my really nice desk, which is actually an IKEA kitchen countertop. That's why it's so big. So I'll put a link in the description for that too. But so that's why we're going to screw in through this. Okay, good. So that's in like so. That ain't coming out. On the back of the yoke, we also provide this plate. It has the same rubber feet as underneath. What this does is it keeps the yoke from going like this, and so we'll be able to screw in here and here, and it'll keep the back of the yoke secure. So I'm going to slide this footing under the back of the yoke, and then we'll be able to do the same in the back. So now this whole thing ain't coming apart. That's all one solid unit. We've got two USBs here into the switch panel. One is the power, the other one's the data. Here's the compass. We can connect this into the switch panel as well. Yeah, there's other stuff you can connect into this. I think you can connect the magnetos piece in, and then I think you can also plug in the LCD standbys if you wanted some LCD standbys, but I have the throttle right here. Instead, we could always move the throttle on a pedestal down here, and then you can put your LCD standbys right there if you really wanted to. Yeah, once again, here's the whole panel assembled. Looks really nice. So I'll go ahead and take a few pictures of this, and then I think we're going to go ahead, boot up the computer on to round 2, which should be hopefully demoing all this. The G1000, the throttle, the switch panel, and the yoke, hopefully feeling that force feedback as we pull back. So should be cool. Let's go, round 2. All right, so we're here in the sim, and we've got the switch panel here. We got the G1000, yoke, throttle. We've loaded Microsoft Flight Sim through the with the Force XP software and everything. You can see, you know, the yoke is moving, and you can see we've got our throttle. We've got our mixture as well here, and we've got trim down here too that I can move towards, and you can actually see the up trim and the down trim both work really well. And you can actually see when I put these different switches on. So just like in the real plane, when I test, you know, the light goes on. You got to hold it for 10 seconds to test the standby battery. That light comes on. You arm it. PFD comes on, just like in the real plane. Can flip these on here. Can flip on all the different avionics there. When you put the beacon on, these all just go on. It's the fuel pump. Just like in the real plane, when you bring this up here, this brings up these lights here. So really neat. So now we'll go ahead, we'll just bring up the G1000s. You can see it connects right there, FS 2020 connected. And it just put us at the exact place where we physically are in the map, right? So this is here at Aurora Municipal Airport. We'll go to an outside view here so I can demo some of this stuff here in the outside view as well. So if I back up here, I've got my rudder pedals here. You can see my rudder pedal deflection going on right there. You can also see when I roll those ailerons, they go ahead and they roll too. Looking out here at the outside, as I mentioned, I can flip those different lights on. Those turn on, put my nav lights on, put the strobe. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I did forget one thing on this. I forgot to put a starter switch in. So we'll go ahead, we'll just have to start it the old way. And I think that's both of them. So here, I'll demonstrate here the pitch going up. And you notice it comes back and it just kind of holds. You know, which is neat. You know, just kind of comes back. So you're really feeling that resistance there. It just feels weighted, which is nice. I would say, in comparison to the Yoke and the Honeycomb Yokes, those feel very springy, and they just want to kind of go back to like neutral. Yeah, I think what we'll do here, we'll go ahead, we'll taxi out, and then I'll catch you guys at the takeoff. All right, so we're here at Niner. We're holding short. We'll go ahead, we'll flip on our landing light there, flip on our strobes as we start to make our way out. There's 2 times I love to fly: early in the morning and then right here at dusk. Those are kind of my 2 favorite times that I really love to fly in real life. See, our compass is also moving. It's pretty neat. Next camera action. Flaps 10. Good to go. Alright, so I'm going to hold it on the ground a little bit. I'm going to be kind of quiet, but so you can really see what it's doing, the vibrations. I'm feeling a ton of wheel vibrations. So I'm already at 55 knots, so it obviously wants to fly at 55 knots. So I'm gonna let it fly now. But you get the point. Flying 74, flaps up. Keep the climb coming up, 74 knots. So I've got traffic pattern, altitude in there, 1700 as well. Keep that climb coming up nice. So yeah, the yoke just feels heavy. Is kind of how I would describe it. It's got a nice weighting to it. Really nice fluid motion. And if I really pull back on it, it really has a nice weight to it. When I push forward, I gotta really kind of push it forward. And you know, if I want to pull it back, I gotta really kind of pull it back. So here in downwind, I should be heading of about a 270. I should be about 2100 RPM, and I should be about 90 knots. So we'll see if we can achieve that. Our wind there if you wanted to. By the way, these rubber buttons feel really, really nice. So rubber buttons are awesome. So we're in downwind. We'll make our left base turn here now for runway 9er. Under 85, next notch flaps. Keep it coming down. Got our awesome strobes there. So I'm feeling a lot of resistance here. Kind of from an air perspective, it almost feels like getting some good speed, almost like the flaps coming in. That's what I'm feeling a little bit more. As the flaps come into more setting, feeling a little bit more resistance there. So feet ready to go. Keeping it really stabilized here. Notice that VSI, that trend is really smooth on the VSI trend here. Gotta keep my airspeed up here just a little bit over the threshold. And there we go. And we got it made. So let's see how it feels on the landing. feel the vibrations. It's almost like you're going over a rumble strip in a racing game, like an F1 game. You're going over the corner rumble strip. See, I can kind of, yeah, it wants to go for sure. That's neat. Alright, so we're going to really try to see what we can feel with the yoke. I'm going to land a little bit faster, a little bit harder, see what it kind of does, if I feel more rumblings or what it does. Once again, the yoke just feels very firm, very solid, very, you know, just tight, kind of in control, authoritative almost, are kind of some of the words I'd use. Two red, two white. Remember, 4 red, you're dead. 4 white, I don't know. I'll have to look that one up. But 2 red, 2 white. We're stabilized. We're looking good. We're at, once again, at that 600, 650. I'm trying to land a touch fast here, touch hard, see what it does. That's cool, feeling the wheel action. That's neat. That's really neat. Put some crosswind correction in if you wanted to. That's cool. Yeah, so I mean, here it is in Microsoft Flight Sim, all the SIMiONIC hardware working. Just looks absolutely gorgeous. Totally beautiful. And yeah, it's an awesome setup. This is really cool. Cool. Well, hey, thanks again for tuning into this video. Thanks for your patience, obviously, through it. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. You know, once again, some really nice hardware from SIMiONIC, and I'm really excited that we had an opportunity to demo that hardware for you guys here in this video. And you know, I'll be back in touch with Lee to understand what's happening from a production perspective on this force feedback yoke. Maybe it'll be ready for the next Flight Sim Expo. Who knows? I'm not sure. But once again, once we get any details on that, we'll be sure to pass anything on. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in. Any questions, let us know. Shoot us an email, throw a comment below what you think. Once again, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys a little bit later. Stay level.